Hello all, and welcome to the Viper's Pit. Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you're a gamer, then at least you've heard of controversy surrounding its launch. If you love Star Wars or first-person shooters, you stick with it till the end. You won't regret it. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
We've anticipated their move. Defend this sector with all you've got.
If you love Star Wars, this video is going to intrigue you. So with that said, my little game freaks, let's begin, because this is a long one. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is an action shooter video game based on the Star Wars film franchise. It is the fourth major installment of the Star Wars Battlefront series and the seventh overall, and the sequel to the 2015 reboot of the series. Now, if you will, imagine dark armored troopers stand in the smoldering remains of the shield generator on the forest moon of Endor. Their faces turn skyward to the distant menace of the Death Star looming overhead, a symbol of order in a war-torn galaxy. Like the Empire itself, the colossal battle station stands immutable, impregnable, and eternal. And with that, a flash of white. It explodes into a midday star. Welcome to Battlefront 2. With a new story mode, taking players on an epic journey from the Battle of Endor to the rise of the First Order. The prequel's original trilogy and new era meet in a vast multiplayer adventure. If you liked the video and you're a fan of Star Wars Battlefront 2, let me know in the comment sections below, and hit the bell icon and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into more details of the video. Since its launch in November 2017, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has continually expanded, adding characters, planets, and vehicles from across the sagas, becoming one of the richest Star Wars video games ever. Well, there's some major characters in Star Wars you want to know about. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 of them, as promised. So let's go ahead and get into the first one. Han Solo, smuggler, scoundrel, some say hero. Han Solo, the captain of the Millennium Falcon, was one of the great leaders of the Rebel Alliance. He and his co-pilot Chewbacca came to believe in the cause of galactic freedom, joining Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia Organa in the fight against the Empire. Han rose from an impoverished childhood on the mean streets of Corellia to become one of the greatest heroes of the Rebel Alliance. After the Battle of Endor, Han faced difficult times in a chaotic galaxy, leading to a shattering confrontation with his estranged son, Ben. Kylo Ren, you guys. Let me tell you, there might not be a single character in all of Star Wars who is as consistently loved by fans as Han Solo. He was the highlight of the original trilogy, a delight when he returned as the main character in Episode 7, and a very pleasing figure during his cameo in the final episode of the saga. He even got a spin-off, which, while excellent, simply didn't draw a crowd. Because no Harrison Ford. My guess. Just my thoughts. Han lived with Corellia's notorious White Worms gang, stealing goods and cutting deals on behalf of crown
Vader's
boss,
fallen,
Lady
and
Proxima.
now Naboo has fallen under the Separatist yoke.
About the abilities of Han
Do
Solo.
better than that, boys.
Han packs a tremendous punch at close range. His DL-44 can cause massive damage for short periods of time before overheating. He has a detonite charge. It is a sticky explosive that can be detonated at will. It has a sharpshooter ability, where Han can fire his DL-44 with no heat buildup. He has a shoulder charge. He charges forward, knocking over and damaging the first enemy he hits. The enemies are knocked back and staggered. This is good to use in a pinch to get out of the area. And paired with the card I'm going to talk about in a few, it could be a lifesaver. But before that, let's finish off the other two. So let's move on to Boba Fett. Few are more feared than the mysterious, intimidating Boba Fett. One of the galaxy's most accomplished bounty hunters, Boba Fett hunts his enemies by ambushing them with blinding concussion rockets and a barrage of damaging wrist rockets. Boba Fett is a highly versatile hero character, equipped with a variety of powerful weapons. The use of his thruster pack gives him an element of verticality that can make him difficult to track. His primary weapon is the EE-3 blaster rifle. His abilities include wrist rockets. This ability allows Boba Fett to fire powerful rockets from his wrist. This originally locked on to an enemy at any distance, but an update changed it to only lock on within a 35 in-game meters of the target, and then taken away completely as they were getting too many complaints of Boba being overpowered. His melee can penetrate through personal shields. His jetpack has its own way of functioning rather than boosting him in a certain distance as the regular one would. It allows him to hover above the ground. It can only be used for a certain amount of time though, before it needs to recharge. Boba Fett was given the passive ability Health on Kill along with many of the other base game heroes in the Battlefront, of course. As a part of Rogue One Scarif update, as you level, Boba Fett gets an increased amount of jetpack sustainability. This means Boba Fett can, as he increases in level, he'll be able to use his jetpack for a greater period of time up to a point. This will enable Boba to be a primary threat in the air, where he is most effective, rather than on the ground. Boba Fett also has a scan pulse. This will reveal troopers and heroes and take Boba off of their radars, essentially masking his approach. As someone who's been playing the game since beta, I can tell you, unless you're a die-hard Boba fan, there are stronger heroes that can take less time to learn. Wait. Before all you Boba mains out there go plotting my demise, let me say, if you know how to use Boba, he can be a dangerous hero. But from what I can tell, it takes a while to learn him well enough that could be the case. So newer players might not want to use him right away. You might want to wait and get a little more seasoned in the game before trying to master Boba Fett, although he is fun to play. That being said, let's move on to Chewbacca. Chewbacca is a ferocious hero and can take on all types of enemies. His bowcaster is a hard-hitting weapon. In addition to no heat buildup, it's able to one-shot almost all the trooper classes except the heavy, depending on where the shots land and how much the bowcaster is charged up. will depend on how much pain you deliver. However, it does suffer at range and cannot fire as fast as other blasters. Though it has splash damage, aiming is the key here. Since the Age of the Rebellion update, zoomed-in shots without furious bowcaster active causes a small explosion. Chewbacca is extremely effective in close quarters, as his bowcaster bolts have large splash damage. Moving on to the abilities and traits of Chewbacca. Chewbacca's ability, Furious Bowcaster, allows the hero to fire fully charged bolts from his bow with no charging time, giving him a greatly increased damage output for a short period of time. Then you have a shock grenade. The hero throws a grenade which can be broken into smaller pieces, and when they find a target, they will electrocute the enemies that they hit. Of course, his ground slam releases a ground slam that causes enemy players within a radius to take a great amount of damage upon impact, and stuns some villains. But take note, Chewbacca, because of the long animation, is susceptible to enemy fire. Chewbacca's stun grenade is able to immobilize enemies, leaving them open for damage, and boost cards can be equipped to make larger areas and longer durations available. Although Chewbacca can dish out high damage, he is a very big target due to the size of his hitbox. Though he has a way to increase his max health and grant damage reduction through star cards, he also does not have one to increase the health regeneration speed. Of course, he has his health on kill, but still, it makes him very susceptible to damage. Because of this, and with him being more effective at closer range engagements, Chewbacca can lose health quickly in certain situations. Just be careful. Now let's talk about the boost cards. It seems super obvious, but please stick with it. Your character doesn't automatically level up and unlock new boost cards. Sure, you gain ranks, but that doesn't automatically give you anything. I'm afraid you have to upgrade them as you go. Each class starts out with a single star card slot available. This you already know. What you might not know is that as you go up in levels, more star cards become available. I believe 5, 10, and 15 is when the sets have become available. And out of all of those, you have to choose only 3 cards. So, I'm going to go ahead and give you my suggestions. And keep in mind, this is just my suggestion on their boost cards, and I'm going to let you know why I chose them. For hand, I chose heavily modified blaster, broad shoulders, and air burst. So let's start with the heavily modified blaster. When fully upgraded, this card allows Han to slow the heat buildup in his blaster by 25%. Now that's when the card is fully upgraded. So you can see why I chose this card. The second card I recommend is Broad Shoulders. This card is the card that I referenced before. It allows Han to gain a 40% reduction in damage while his shoulder charge is active. Thus, using it in a bad situation to get out of the area is a definite lifesaver. So, let's move on to the third one, Air Burst. Han's detonite charge will deal more damage if detonated while still in the air. When fully upgraded, this card will add 20% to the damage the detonite charge. I think those are pretty self-evident. So let's move on to Boba Fett. The first one I recommend for Boba is Born to Fly. Boba's abilities cool down 20% faster when the card is fully upgraded. This card comes with a trade-off though, with his health regen starting a second and a half later than it normally would. But Boba's a hard target to hit anyway, so to me, the trade-off was worth it. The second one I recommend is Augmented Gear. If Boba's concussion rocket hits several enemies at once, Boba's jetpack doesn't consume any fuel. When fully upgraded, you need to hit a cluster of 3 players to give you a 4-second flight time without burning fuel. Let me say this though. I don't use Boba on a lot of maps because there's no room to fly. So keep that in mind. Now, the last one, but for most certainly not least, Focalize. Rocket Barrage deals bonus damage within 1 meter radius of the impact of Boba's rocket. Now, I chose these because of their mobility. They give a boost to his rockets and a boost to his flight time, which for Boba is a gotta have. If you have a better loadout for Boba, let me know, because I'd like to try it. Now, let's move on to the last 3, and these are for Chewbacca. Impervious. Every time Chewbacca deals a threshold of 200 combined damage with any weapon or ability, he gains a 2% damage reduction to a limit of 34% when fully upgraded. Now, what this means is, for every 200 points of damage that you do with weapon or ability, he gets a minus 2% damage reduction. In other words, whatever damage they would normally do, it takes 2% off. But this stacks up to a point of 34%. So, if you get on a roll with Chewbacca, literally, you could be taking only 3/4 of the damage you normally would. And this will allow for you to remain on the battlefront a lot longer in GA or any other mode, actually. So, you can see why I chose this one. Echoing Roar. For every enemy you kill while Furious Bowcaster is active, it will extend the amount of time it is active. That's pretty self-explanatory. So let's move on to the next one. Bonus Health. This one's going to be self-explanatory too. It is what the label says it is. When fully upgraded, it gives Chewie a permanent increase, or so long as you keep it slotted in the slot, of 150 hit points. So, you know why I chose this one already. Now, thanks for sticking it out, guys. I know this is one of the longest videos I've ever done, and to prove I appreciate it, here's a little tip for sticking it out to the end. To keep the tanks from running over you, alright, as in infantry or any hero who can kneel, in other words, take a knee, since the tanks work on an anti-gravity concept, there's no wheels to run you over. So simply duck. They won't kill you. And sometimes you can actually take a tank out and he won't even know how he died. But thanks again for sticking it out. That was the heroes this time, 3 of them for you guys. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends who you think might like it. Subscribe to the channel. And make sure to stay connected. To make sure you stay connected, that is, hit the bell icon, because sometimes YouTube won't notify you if it's not checked. So, for more of what you want to know on this game and others, come back and see us very soon. And I'll see you guys in the next video. But before I go, there's a couple things I want to tell you. Remember, you guys always have a friend here at the Viper's Pit. And you're already heroes. And you're already pros. To me. All you got to do is do the work. And have faith in yourself. That being said, thanks for watching. Holy Viper, out.